So today we're going to look at the fallout of the Virginia election that saw Youngkin take the reins from the new king of cringe, the Clintonian ponce that was Terry McAuliffe. Because frankly, the media's salty reaction is enough to turn me from a spoon into a damn ladle. Not to mention the cope. Oh, the media's cope with this is bizarre as well as extremely predictable. Will they actually learn anything from this whatsoever? Maybe take the loss with some grace and humility. Maybe after taking a thorough pummeling from an outsider that had virtually no name brand recognition even a few months ago, might they go back to the drawing board and come up with a more realistic, less pompous, pretentiously preachy sounding strategy? Of course not. I think we have a better chance of me pissing gold. And so the blame game starts, and the blame game is rather distasteful, starting with the token black progressive wench of MSNBC, Joy Reid, calling the Youngkin win a victory proving white ignorance is a powerful weapon. She sounds like a wonderful person, doesn't she? And not at all like an out-of-touch, arrogant bitch. So according to the numbers from MSNBC at least, let's take those numbers with a huge dose of salt, potent enough to put down a charging frickin' rhino, that McAuliffe lost a substantial chunk of female white voters compared to Biden, 57 to 43, a 14-point swing. Woof! And this is apparently indicative of McAuliffe losing a very specific messaging war on race. What a great strategy, completely ignore all of the voters' issues with government and then call them stupid and racist when they don't vote the way you want them to. Can we pause for a moment and realize this is not a joke? This is peak Democratic strategy. These people are so far up their own ass, I don't even have jokes for this. These creatures are just vile. It has nothing to do with race, you snooty-ass elitist. Considering the amount of bollocks that went on during the coup with the school scheduling being in complete chaos, and the worthless-ass unions actively battling to keep the schools closed, even though states like Florida had zero problems keeping theirs open. You had the issue with the freaking address in Loudoun County who sexually assaulted a girl that the school board did not want to address in their twisted attempts to keep their perverted ideology intact. They lied repeatedly about them teaching CRT. They do. When you have kids coming home to their parents in tears asking them if they're evil because they are white, I think it's rather justified the parents are a tad bit perturbed. You combine all of that with an arrogant Clintonian shill who then has the audacity to tell parents whose taxpayer dollars pay for their children's education, you do not have a say in how and what we teach your children, which is a disturbing way of saying the state knows better than you how to raise your own kids. That smugness, however, delightfully caused a lot of mamas and papas to give the twat the middle finger and vote for the Republican. But again, these leftists simply cannot admit they are wrong. It is literally impossible for these people to ever do this, which is why they will always fail over and over again. Anyone who does not learn from their mistakes is doomed to repeat them. I'll get back on this later. Now, with the increasing nationalization of politics, the amount of media pundits who think Youngkin won because he distanced himself from Trump and that Trump is unpopular, holy sweet Moses, the echo chamber these people reside in is thick enough to pass through the damn Van Allen belt, saying he sounded like a Romney Republican. If he sounded like a Romney Republican, there is no way in glowing hell Trump would have ever endorsed him. He scored a win because of Trump. These pundits claim he ran a largely ill-defined campaign, hovering about, flirting with Trump, coyly trying to distance himself from the Don. Okay, so let me try and understand this. Either the Trump endorsement meant nothing, and Youngkin won it all on his own with no name-brand recognition, distancing himself from Mean Bad Orange Man because he's a Romneyite, who is hated by the current iteration of the Republican Party, by the way, or your candidate, who you shill for, was so shite, he got beaten by someone who, according to you, ran a half-assed campaign with a Trump endorsement which you think is toxic and will cripple a candidate's success, which was still not enough to keep the electorate from voting for him in a state Biden won a year ago by 10 points. Is that what you're trying to say, is it? Do you see how either way McAuliffe still looks like an incompetent bellend? My God, these people live in a fantasy land. The reality is, Trump has taken over the Republican Party. He is by and large the kingmaker of the party. If Trump mentions you, your name is out there. These idiots think mentioning Trump's name is going to hamstring a candidate. which makes sense because they never shut the hell up about him and tried to tie Youngkin to Trump at the hip at every turn. Which is hilarious coming from McAuliffe saying it's not about Trump after he mentions his name like 20 bloody times in the space of 6 minutes. It is very much about Trump for these people. And trying to bring back memories of Trump when you have the worst administration in US history, a failing president that has an arsenal of problems the previous administration did not have, your campaign strategy looks hopelessly out of touch, bordering on suicidal. And then Biden came out. Again, worst president ever stumping for you is not a good look. Biden is not popular. Saying people need breathing room. They are overwhelmed. Yes, because of your policies, Joe. Because you're an incompetent moron, hopelessly out of your depth. Well, either that or the shadowy cabal behind you are destructive psychopaths hell-bent on crippling the US for more reasons. And don't think this man is really the president. He's not. He's a marionette. He's not the one calling the shots. Watch him walk to the podium to speak. He'll quite often start out by saying, "They told me." Who the hell is they? Gondor has no king. He was a worthless senator with not a single noteworthy publicly known accomplishment to his name, which is why everyone who voted for him, thinking he'd be a return to normalcy, is also an incompetent moron. Saying, but I'm not sure that I would have been able to have changed the number of very conservative folks who turned out in the red districts who were Trump voters. Actually, Joe, you would have. Your presence alongside McAuliffe likely turned out more, which is rather amusing. Not only that, the Dems look massively arrogant, suggesting their voters are unthinking plebs who are so partisan they can induce hell on earth and the electorate will never ever even think of voting for a different party. Let's hope they never learn their lessons and continue swimming in their own ignorant stupidity. And then you had Obama talking about the right's phony culture wars. When your school board dismisses sexual assault in favor of ideology, it really makes your side look sick and morally depraved. But Biden, much like McAuliffe, also has a really bad case of the old Trump derangement syndrome, repeatedly invoking Trump's name and called Youngkin a Trump acolyte. And when he was called out for it at a press conference, he said, "Well, the reason I mentioned Trump, I didn't count the times, that's because you can barely talk, Joe, let alone count, is because the issues he supports are affecting their lives every day and are a negative impact on their lives." Oh my god, again, this man makes Bush look like Socrates. The political class are so unbelievably stupid. No one should ever listen to these people. Trump was hounded by the media every minute of every hour of every day for 4 straight damn years. And the media class, much like you, Joe, still simply can't shut the hell up about him, even now. He made more progress than you as a president in 47 months than you did 47 years in the Senate. You managed to become the worst president in less than 47 weeks, when you were gifted the best version of the country you had seen in your miserable lifetime. The country is not, by and large, far left. The media is desperate for you to succeed, and your voters are complete imbeciles who know nothing about policy. You could have literally done the exact same things as Trump, and you would have received glowing praise from your dim-witted voters. And I don't mean that just because half of them are deceased. You have a comedic cavalcade of problems that your administration willingly induced. The border crisis, energy crisis, employment crisis, inflation crisis, the Chinese crisis, the Afghan crisis. Literally nothing is going right for the entire administration, and then you wonder why people you are stumping for are getting their asses handed to them. And again, like I said, this is not going to get any better. He's stuck with no way out. He can do either nothing, which will make him look useless, tanking his approval, or he can try and pass horribly destructive policies, which will make him look stupid and tank his approval. He is a lame duck president with nowhere to go but down. But like I said, I'll get back to this. Here is the crux of the problem. Progressive policies will always induce problems because it induces dependency. Problems they cause and then claim they can solve. It's an endless loop that always drives to condense more power into the hands of the state. And an all-powerful state is never ever efficient. Progressivism always brings about the 3 Ds: death, decay, and destruction. Case in point, every damn city run by Democrats. And that's all for today. Until next time.